Risk management is a key part of our construction plan. And this involves, first of all, establishing context surrounding the McMullin building project, identifying any risks involved with the project, then assessing those risks, which allows us to decide which risks to mitigate or control. And then once we've gone through the risk treatment process, we can then review those risks at the end of the day. With risk identification, this allows us to work out our inherent, contingent, and bias with the project. And through this identification process, we can move on to our risk assessment, which allows us to focus on which risks will play a bigger part in maybe scheduling issues, which risks can have severe consequences on costing, and maybe more resources are needed to address them, which moves us on to our risk control. And here we have four main strategies: our avoid, transfer, mitigate, accept. These risks allow us to safely manage the project, to either avoid them completely in an ideal world, to transfer these risks to a contractor who's maybe more suitable to deal with them than us, mitigate any risks that we do need to deal with personally, and at the end of the day, accept the risks that we have to deal with.
Scheduling provides readers a visual depiction of crucial tasks as the project progresses through its lifetime. In order to proceed to scheduling, assumptions are established to require a realistic outcome. This is followed by inputting tasks, resources, and activities. The important assumptions are as listed below. Using Project Libra, the team has inputted all tasks into the software, including 4 main stages of the project: pre-deconstruction, procurement, deconstruction, and finalization. The expected project duration is estimated to be 181 working days of the deconstruction of the McMullin building, a starting date of 17th October 2021 to a finishing date of 27th June 2022.
Due to the nature of the deconstruction project, the majority of expenses are expected to be labour and resources, and not so much materials. We've estimated that our total expenses for completing the project will be just under $460,000. We've then added a 30% contingency rate, as well as a 10% profit margin to give our final quote of $638,580. This contingency allowance is to cover unpredictable events, such as our ability to negotiate with subcontractors, delays and expenses due to workplace injuries, the cost of disposing of materials should it be required, lost time due to equipment breakdown, and tasks taking longer than we have scheduled for. The expense breakdown is given here. We've taken our labour costs from the Cordell guidelines and then applied a location adjustment advised for the Newcastle region. We considered the cost of diesel at the current rate of $1.60 and that all machinery is owned and leased by the primary contractor.
A series of work health and safety issues can potentially arise from construction projects. These can lead to workers being harmed, as well as delays and an increase in the project's cost. Our project management team aims to minimize all WHS issues by identifying these, determining their likely impacts, and finding possible solutions in order to avoid these incidences from occurring. The construction site will take place on an active daily campus with many attendees in close contact with the construction site. Therefore, many of the listed WHS issues will not only affect the workers on site, but could potentially affect students and staff on campus. We found that most of the WHS issues could be avoided by use of PPE and being mindful of the surroundings. Construction projects have a devastating effect on the environment, especially when not managed with care. It is a key focus of our project management team to consider potential environmental impacts at all stages of the construction project. We aim to determine key environmental issues, consider all potential impacts, and determine solutions to prevent or minimize their impacts. As shown in the table, most of the environmental issues occurring have a devastating impact on the surrounding flora and fauna. Many of the solutions will involve minimizing these effects as much as possible, managing our waste responsibly, and also ensuring the surrounding environment is redeveloped at the conclusion of construction by replanting trees and gardens.
Within our site management plan, there are a few key aspects that we have to address. These include our site assumptions, which involved regular consultation with all stakeholders involved, making sure that workers wear correct PPE, as well as any WH&S inductions for any workers that enter the site. This involves also managing traffic on and off campus, and as well as outside the construction zone. We have a few site-specific constraints. So we know that the McMullin building, although already retrofitted in the 1960s, it's deemed unsuitable and therefore deconstruction is necessary. We know there's considerable amounts of asbestos present on site, which we need safe removal of. We know that it's a live campus. We want to have minimal to none disruption for uni staff and students, as well as our zero landfill target that was set as one of our project goals. And for our stakeholder management, we are looking at both the internal stakeholders like Newcastle Uni, any shareholders involved, our project team and contractors, as well as the external stakeholders, which involves Newcastle Uni staff, students, the greater public, and as well as the local government.
Hi, my name's Josh, and I'm going to be talking about monitoring and control. So these are some of the ways that we can control and monitor projects. We can use process monitoring, progress tracking, progress validation, and audits and performance monitoring. Most of these can be done using project management software, which we will be planning to do. And the objective of these is to make sure that the work is being carried out properly and on time. So these are some of the areas that we would like to be controlling throughout the project lifetime. We have quality, time, and costs. And to look at these, we'll be assessing these key performance indicators, which are scope, resources, procurement, quality, time, and communication and costs. And finally, here are some of the ways that we will be conducting quality control and assurance. So we'll be looking at controlling the waste management, particle control, safety of course of everyone on site, including students and teachers on campus, and the environment and plant and equipment. These are especially important because we are dealing with asbestos and it is on a university campus site, which means that there's a potential for, if it's not controlled properly, that a lot of people can become seriously ill. Thank you.
At the conclusion of the construction period, the completed project will be handed over to the asset owner. We aim to make this period as smooth as possible to avoid any defects or delays. The handover period will occur after the final engineer's inspections and approval, operations and maintenance manuals, and detailed design plans are finalised. In order to make the handover period as smooth as possible, we have identified main issues that will arise during the handover period. Having these issues in mind will allow the project management team to be aware so that these issues can be avoided down the track. These issues consist of miscommunication, misunderstanding, training for future staff and operators, and late amendments. Commissioning involves the task which will be performed in order to establish normal operation of the completed works. Prior to planning our commissioning process, we have determined the key issues which will affect the final construction works. These issues include standards not met by the client, miscommunication in the project amendments, and aspects of the design not passing the commission test, which will be leading to delays.